The office of Henderson, Elias, and Associates reeked of polished leather and wealth. I sat in the waiting area, gazing at oil portraits of grim-faced partners, while my stepmother, Callista, schemed with her children, Dorian and Chloe, murmuring eagerly about their lavish plans. "First thing, I'm getting that yacht," Dorian declared, scrolling through his phone. "The 60-footer we saw in Miami." "I'm eyeing a Hamptons estate," Chloe chimed in, tossing her blonde hair. "Something elegant, maybe 8 bedrooms." Callista, her manicured nails grazing their hands, had been siphoning my father's fortune for 7 years. "Now, children, let's not be crass. We'll talk investments after the formalities." She shot me a venomous glare across the room. I ignored her, pretending to be absorbed in my phone. "I don't even know why she's here," Callista hissed theatrically. "Thaddeus made his intentions crystal clear before he passed." Thaddeus. She couldn't even say my father at a time like this. The receptionist appeared. "Mr. Elias will see you now." We filed into the conference room, where James Elias waited, my father's will spread before him. His eyes hinted at suppressed amusement. "Please take a seat," he said, gesturing to the chairs. "Water, coffee, this may take a while." "Let's just get on with it," Callista snapped, claiming the head of the table. "I have a financial advisor meeting at 3. "Of course." Elias opened the folder. "My condolences on the loss of Thaddeus Morrison, a client for over 30 years. Very tragic," Callista cut in. "Now the estate division." Elias' eyes flickered. "We'll start with the reading of Mr. Morrison's last will, dated 5 years ago." 5 years? I asked softly. "Wasn't it updated more recently?" Callista's laugh was sharp as shattered crystal. "Oh dear, you don't understand how this works, do you? Thaddeus and I revised everything after our marriage, ensuring the estate stayed with the immediate family." "Immediate family?" I echoed. Meaning those who actually cared for him in his final years," Callista said sweetly. "Not the daughter who rarely showed up, too busy with her little charity job." I remembered the visits she'd scheduled during her salon appointments, the family dinners she forgot to tell me about. When my father asked for me, she'd claimed I was too busy. "Shall we continue?" Elias asked, a glint of amusement in his eyes. "Please," Callista said smugly. "The estate is divided between myself and my children with a small sum for charity," Callista announced. "As for Selene, she gets nothing. I insured it. 7 years of marriage, and I convinced Thaddeus to see reason about his ungrateful daughter." "You're not in the will, Selene, not a cent," she sneered. The room fell silent. Dorian and Chloe smirked like predators sensing a kill. Callista looked like she devoured a flock of birds. Then Elias laughed, a full, hearty laugh that echoed off the wood-paneled walls. "I'm sorry," he said, wiping his eyes. "That was unprofessional. Mrs. Morrison, are you familiar with a revocable living trust?" Callista's smugness wavered. "Of course, it's a financial tool." "Very good," Elias said, stifling a chuckle. "And do you know when Thaddeus created his children's trust?" "Children?" Callista snapped. "He only had one child, her." "Actually," Elias produced a thicker folder, "Thaddeus established the Morrison Family Trust 28 years ago when Selene was 10. It's been accruing ever since." Callista's confidence faltered. "He revoked it when we updated the will." "Did he?" Elias pulled out a document. "Because I have the trust papers, including all amendments. The last was made 13 months ago. Trusts, Mrs. Morrison, are separate from wills. This one was designed to transfer all assets to Selene on her 38th birthday or upon Thaddeus's death, whichever came first." "That's impossible," Callista whispered. "Selene," Elias turned to me, "when was your birthday?" 14 months ago, I said softly. "Dad threw a small party. Callista was at a spa." "Yes," Elias nodded. "That weekend, Thaddeus visited me. He was precise about the timing, ensuring the transfer was complete before any complications. Mrs. Morrison, you can't alter a trust that transferred $50 million last year." Callista's face paled. Her mouth opened and closed like a stranded fish. 50, Dorian croaked. 50 million, Elias confirmed. 14 months ago, with market gains and dividends, it's now roughly $57 million. "But the houses, the cars, the accounts," Chloe cried. "All held by the trust," Elias said calmly. "Transferred to Selene last year. You've been living in Selene's homes, driving her cars, spending her money for 14 months. I spoke at last. "Dad told me to wait. Said it was better to let things unfold naturally. He wanted to see if you'd change, Callista, if you'd stop being so." I trailed off, searching for the word. "Devious," Elias supplied. "This is fraud," Callista shrieked. "We'll sue. Thaddeus wasn't in his right mind." Actually, Elias produced a medical report. Thaddeus had a full cognitive evaluation 13 months ago. Perfect scores, 3 psychiatrists confirmed his mental clarity. He was, quote, sharp as a tack and twice as pointed. His words. Why? Dorian asked, genuinely confused. Why would he do this? I looked at him with pity. Because he saw what you were doing. The credit cards in his name, Dorian. The jewelry you charged to his accounts, Chloe. And you, Callista, the way you isolated him from friends and family, the medication mix-ups that kept him dazed, moving your mother into the guest house without asking. You can't prove that, Callista spat. I don't have to, I said. Dad did. Elias slid another folder forward. Thaddeus hired a private investigator 2 years ago. Would you like to see the reports? He was particularly curious about your first marriage, Mrs. Morrison. How did your first husband die? Medication mix-up, wasn't it? The silence was suffocating. Now, Elias said briskly, the will itself. To my wife, Callista Morrison, I leave $1, the amount she truly deserves. To Dorian and Chloe Whitfield, the same. The rest, mostly personal effects since the trust transferred all assets, goes to Selene. He placed $3 bills on the table. That's it, Chloe whispered. $1. Actually, I said, reaching into my bag, I have something for each of you. I handed them 3 envelopes. Eviction notices. You have 30 days to vacate my properties. All of them? You can't evict us. Callista leapt up, knocking over her chair. I'm his widow. You're a tenant, I corrected. Living rent-free in my houses, the main estate, the beach house, the mountain cabin, and Dorian's city apartment. How did you know? Dorian stammered. The same way Dad knew about your gambling debts, I said. Chloe's shopping addiction, Callista's shady investments. You weren't as clever as you thought. Elias cleared his throat. One final matter. Thaddeus's letter to be read after the will. He handed me an envelope. He insisted you read it aloud. I opened it, recognizing my father's handwriting. My dearest Selene, if you're reading this, our plan succeeded perfectly. I'm sorry for the deception, but I needed to see Callista's true nature, and I had to keep you safe while I did. You were right to be wary when I remarried so soon after your mother's death. Your intuition has always been sharp. What you didn't know was that I was already ill. The cancer diagnosis came weeks after the wedding. Callista seemed like someone who'd care for me. Instead, she revealed her true self. Thank you for trusting me when I asked you to play along, to act sidelined as I moved funds into the trust. Thank you for letting them think they'd won while we secured your future. Callista, Dorian, Chloe, I know exactly who you are. The investigators' reports are with the district attorney, who will review them after my death. I suggest you use your 30 days wisely. Selene, my daughter, you are everything I could have hoped for. Strong, patient, wise, and above all, kind. Manage the wealth I've left you, but more importantly, take care of yourself. With all my love, Dad. P.S. Your mother's engagement ring is in my desk, second drawer on the left. Callista was eyeing it, so I hid it. It's yours as she always intended. Callista slumped in her chair. Dorian was frantically texting, likely his bookie. Chloe sobbed, mascara streaking her face. Anything else? Callista whispered to Elias. Just this, he said, producing another document. A restraining order filed by Selene this morning. No contact with her after you vacate the properties. Any attempt to challenge the trust or will triggers immediate enforcement. You planned this, Callista said, staring at me. You both did. Dad planned it, I corrected. I just followed his lead like you followed the same script you used on your first husband. Did you think Dad didn't know about Charles, the insurance policy? The medication you gave him. That was never proven, Callista shot back. No, I agreed. But history nearly repeated itself if Dad hadn't been smarter than you thought. I gathered my documents. Mr. Elias, thank you for helping my father protect what mattered most. My pleasure, he said, still hiding a smile. Your father was brilliant. This was the most elegant estate plan I've ever seen. As I reached the door, Callista pleaded, Selene, please. I was his wife. Doesn't that mean something? I turned. It means exactly what you brought to the marriage. Lies, manipulation, greed. Dad saw your true worth, Callista. $1, he was generous. I wouldn't have given you that. I left them staring at their dollar bills. In the parking lot, I sat in my car, now truly mine, and exhaled a breath I'd held for 14 months. My phone rang. Maeve, Dad's nurse, the one Callista couldn't fire, asked, how'd it go? Exactly as Dad predicted, I said, down to Callista demanding proof. He'd be so proud, Maeve said softly. He spoke of you constantly those last weeks. Said you were the only one who never wanted anything from him but his time. I miss him, I said. I know, honey, but he made sure you'd be okay. That was all he cared about, not punishing them, though that was a nice bonus. Just protecting you. After we hung up, I drove to the cemetery. Dad's grave was adorned with fresh flowers. I'd visited weekly despite Callista's lies that I never came. "We did it, Dad," I whispered to the headstone. "Just like you planned, they never saw it coming." The wind stirred the trees, and for a moment I swore I heard his laugh from that day in Elias' office, signing papers while Callista was at the spa. "She thinks she's so clever," he'd said. "But clever and smart aren't the same. You're smart, Selene. You know the difference between caring for someone and exploiting them." I placed a coral rose from Mom's garden, which I still tended, on his grave and went home. Not to the estate where Callista was likely packing, but to the modest house Dad had secretly bought in my name years ago. The one where I'd lived quietly, letting them think I was struggling while the trust grew. Dad was right. Clever and smart weren't the same. Callista was clever. I thought leaving the law office with a restraining order and victory would bring peace. But I underestimated Callista. Clever people don't accept defeat quietly. 3 days later, while tending flowers in my garden, I found an envelope tucked inside my gate. No stamp, just my name in red ink. Inside was a photo of me outside a grocery store, bending to pick up a dropped receipt taken from behind a bush. A note in red pen read, "Nice car. Shame if something happened to it." I called Maeve. "Go to the police," she urged. Now, I did. They took my statement and the photo, but the officer shrugged. "Hard to prove intent. Could be a prank. Keep a log of everything." A prank. This was Callista, who'd maneuvered my father's life like a chessboard. She wouldn't leave quietly. 4 nights later, my doorbell rang at 2:13 a.m. heart pounding. I checked the camera feed. Nothing. I flicked on the porch light, still nothing. But when I opened the door, a brick thudded onto the porch, scrawled with "Get out." The police came, searched, found no fingerprints, no footprints, no witnesses. They promised more patrols, but said, "No real threat." Not yet. I changed my locks, upgraded my security, added cameras. Then the rumors started. My nonprofit's director called. "Selene, someone sent anonymous tips to the board alleging financial misconduct, personal use of donor funds, unauthorized travel, lavish expenses, all within the last 18 months. "That's impossible," I said. "I believe you," she said kindly, "but the board must investigate. We're auditing. You'll need to take a leave of absence." I hung up, screaming into the quiet house. Callista wasn't just seeking revenge, she was trying to dismantle my life. I considered going public, exposing everything, the will, the trust, the threats. But Dad's words stopped me. She thrives in chaos. Stay silent. Hold the high ground. 2 weeks later, Dorian appeared outside my support group's building, leaning against a black car from the family fleet. Thinner, paler, but still flaunting a Rolex. "What do you want?" I asked, not breaking stride. "We need to talk. The restraining order's only for Mom. You should see this." He slipped me a folded paper. "Check this account. You'll see what she's hiding." That night, I dug into the account. An offshore one in the Cayman Islands with Lyra Whitfield as beneficiary, $1.4 million. I kept searching. 5 accounts opened in the last 2 years, tied to shell companies, linked to Callista's mother, Lyra, or Dorian, funded by transfers from a defunct charity Callista once co-chaired. She hadn't just planned to inherit, she'd been stealing for years. If I could find it, so could the IRS. I called Dad's friend, Alaric, a retired tax attorney. "Ready to burn her down?" he asked dryly. "I want it public. Everything exposed." We spent 6 days building the case. I sent it to the district attorney, the IRS criminal division, and 3 investigative journalists. Then I waited. They arrested Callista at the country club, mid-mimosa, in front of her socialite friends. A video, sent to me by a stranger, went viral on Facebook in hours. Callista in a silk blouse and sunglasses, handcuffed by federal agents. Dorian tried to intervene and was tackled. Lyra screamed, "This is a mistake." But evidence doesn't care about drama. 3 counts of wire fraud, 2 counts of money laundering. 1 count of elder abuse. The last one stung most because it meant Dad. The DA called. "Miss Morrison, your documentation made this case. Without it, we'd have taken longer. She's likely taking a plea deal. Her lawyers know we have her." I thanked him, then went to the beach house, not for revenge, but for closure. It still smelled of Callista's cloying perfume. I opened every window, letting the sea air cleanse it. Under the bar, I found torn photo albums. One picture of Dad and me at 17 with my college acceptance letter was ripped in half. She tried to erase us. I taped it back together. The eviction notices held. Dorian and Lyra fought, claiming a lifestyle right to the properties, but the judge disagreed. By month's end, they were gone. Reporters who saw the arrest video wanted my story. I told it not with venom, but with truth, the rise and fall of a long con. Strangers reached out, women, daughters, nurses, lawyers, people who'd survived someone like Callista. They called me brave, a hero. I didn't feel like one. I felt free. Dad's grave bloomed with flowers that month. One evening on the mountain cabin's porch with Maeve, a blanket around me and tea in hand, we watched the sunset. "He did it," Maeve said. "Protected you even after he was gone." "He always kept his promises," I whispered. In my pocket was another letter from Dad found by Alaric in the trust lockbox. One sentence: "She built her empire on sand. You, Selene, were always the rock." I cried, not from sadness, but because I finally felt whole. Thank you for watching my story. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and press the bell icon. Stay tuned for more real-life stories, get more experiences.